Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome to Watch You Want. Today, we're looking at a classic from back in the day. You were looking at the Submariner in transition. This is the Rolex 16803. This one takes you back to the dawn of an era, not just the first two-tone Submariner, but an undisputable icon of the 1980s. That's right, during the Gordon Gekko era, this was the hottest ride on your wrist. I can just imagine driving a 1984 Ferrari Testarossa through Miami with Phil Collins or Van Halen blasting on an aftermarket Alpine stereo system. I don't know, maybe Def Leppard. But the bottom line is, this thing has outlasted all the other 80s icons in the sense that the reverence for it has only grown with time. Let's talk a little bit about this first two-tone Submariner, where the sub came from in precious metals, how we got to the two-tone look, and then what this particular 16803 brings to the table, because it brings a lot. Now, the Submariner debuted in 1954 as a stainless steel pure utility reference. It wasn't until 1965-66 with the debut of the Rolex date 1680/8 yellow gold Submariner that we started to see the sub break out its dress clothes, the precious metal 18 karat yellow gold reference. Very formal, maybe a little bit too formal for daily wear. And I think Rolex found the happy medium in 1983, beginning at 84 with this model, the 16803, the first two-tone 18 karat yellow gold and stainless steel Rolex Submariner. This one was a zinger, and it's probably why the basic look endured in the Rolex lineup from 1983 right up until 2009 with the debut of the six-digit reference sub. Let's take a little bit of a look at this dial, because the dial is the franchise. For the two-tone sub, that first version probably attained its iconic status because of this incredible, radiant, explosive soleil pattern metallic blue dial. There's nothing else like it. It's almost iridescent. I'm going to put this watch on the wrist and see if I can't get it in focus near the camera. Also give you a little sense of the wrist presence of this one. Now, back in the day when Carl Icahn was almost as cool as ZZ Top, this watch was the look. Stainless steel, it's got a little bit of that iron fist velvet glove type thing going on, and the key is that combination of the blue dial and the metallic blue bezel. That bezel really is the perfect blue collar partner in white collar crime for that dial. Now, we're talking about the 80s after all, so the bottom line is the look, the feel, the attitude. It's got a little bit of a scandalous air about it, the idea of a pure utility reference, the Submariner, which has, among other things, a military pedigree, having been used by British Special Forces during the 1960s and 70s, and then dressing it up in gold, dressing it up in royal blue, dressing it up with applied 18 karat yellow gold indexes and yellow gold Mercedes hands. Another 80s icon right there. But the bottom line is this one's aged remarkably well. Not only did it outlast the junk bond era, but it lived into the modern era of dot-coms, and to be honest, the look is still with us and still a classic. It just doesn't have the same visual punch as it did back in the day. The current six-digit Submariner uses a ceramic bezel, but you can't implement that metallic twang, that visual punch, with a ceramic bezel. It's lustrous, it's deep, it's shiny, and it's gloss, but it doesn't have that radiance. And there's nothing like that soleil metallic in the Rolex catalog today. Sure, there's the Milgauss Z Blue, but that's more of a electrifying party color than something that's upscale and electrifying at the same time. This has the look and the feel of that 80s Ferrari Testarossa. You know the pedigree, the breeding is impeccable, but it's got a sense of raffish flamboyance to it, and somehow it gets away with it. It pulls it off. This was a great look back in the day, and it's a great look today. It was also a remarkably versatile watch, and that continues. When I say this was a sub in transition, I mean that all the modern standards are there. The 1977-1978 Rolex 16800 series was the first really modern Submariner, and all those features carry over in the 16803. Here's the thing. Sapphire crystal. That was a first for the sub in this generation. 300-meter water-resistant case. That's down to 1,000 feet. You're never going to need more unless you jump out of a submarine. And a modern 28,800 beat per hour movement. This was the 3035 chronometer Rolex Oyster Perpetual movement, bidirectional winding, silky smooth Teflon reversing wheels, tough as a tank, all of the features you would expect in a modern everyday dress watch, in a modern everyday sports watch, integrated in a single model. You've got Rolex's own stainless steel, you've got Rolex's own gold, poured and blended stamped and formed and finished in their own foundry. This is the definition of manufactured watchmaking, and it's an icon of its age. But unlike leisure suits and 8-tracks, this one lives on to fight another day and look awesome while doing it. So, you never know. Maybe you don't have the Testarossa, maybe you're never going to play in Van Halen or jam with Def Leppard, but the bottom line is, on Watch You Want, you can check out this Rolex Oyster Perpetual Submariner Two-Tone 16803 in extraordinary high-resolution images that really bring that soleil dial and the complementary metallic bezel to life. I'm also going to mention that this one has full boxes, papers, complete factory set. Unlike Diamond David Lee Roth's voice, this one is totally intact, and that's a rarity. To see a classic from almost 30 years ago, still completely intact with factory papers, with all booklets, documents of provenance, inner and outer boxes, it's a true survivor. So, check out our website, Watch You Want. Check out the full set on this Rolex Oyster Perpetual Submariner 16803. A sub in transition, the first of the two-tones, an undisputed icon of its era, the live-and live decade of the 1980s. Check out the excitement, crank up the flock of seagulls, because I have a feeling that if you're in the mood for some atmosphere or just a darn good vintage Rolex, this Submariner 16803 will be the watch you want.